All
after
right, and welcome back to Be Fair, a podcast hosted by Aaron Jordan Peterson, and that happens to be me and my new headphones tonight because I tried something new and it's working really well. And of course, we are joined by the lovely Lisa as usual. How you doing, Lisa?
Not too shabby. It's been too much snow
Yeah, I
the
know.
last 24 hours.
We got an uncomfortable amount of snow in northern Minnesota overnight, and it was really ridiculous. But for those of us that are in Minnesota, that's how we dealt with. Let's see how a friend of ours, our new friend, who is not in Minnesota but still in the Midwest, and he is our new guest host tonight, Mike EP. How you doing?
Howdy. How y'all doing? Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I'm actually in Toledo, Ohio, which is it's a little bit lower than you guys, but we're getting pelted with snow right now as we speak. So I'm feeling the winter. I'm feeling it. Not a very big fan of it.
You must be getting what we just got last night, then I bet.
Probably, yeah. I'm guessing. Yeah, no. It being back here because I lived in Southern California for 13 years. So like when I came back to the Midwest, it was just heartbreaking that first winter, and I got like the flu, and it was like the bone hurting flu. So it was like even the worst welcome home winter ever. It was just like my family was sick. Like there were sick members of my family I was taking care of. It was just not the best way to come back to the place that you ran away from so long ago. So.
I have never been so lucky to get out of the Minnesota borders of like Duluth. I lived at. That's how Lisa and I know each other. I lived in Duluth for about 15 years, but moved back to Grand Rapids. Well, I moved to Minneapolis for a stint, but I kind of like freaked out and left. But and yeah, that's where I'm at now. So
big city will do that. The big city will do that to you.
It will. I've always kind of thought, because I grew up in such a small community of people, and being the person that I am, I tried to step outside of my comfort zone. Duluth was perfect because it was a big enough city with a small enough heart, or big enough heart. I don't know. Oh, Lisa's got some emergency happening. Something always happens. This is pretty on brand for us.
Dogs just doing their job. That's what they're doing their job. That's what dogs are for. That's what they do. Bark at people or whatever is trying to get in.
It's just really funny because we never know when something's going to dramatically happen for Lisa.
How do we say it's kind of like the Thunderdome or the Hunger Games?
As your phone's like falling back. Like, I don't know, it's the Hunger Games.
But yes,
I bring a lot of the organic things to this podcast.
Wonderful.
Well, I'm also an improv actor, and I've been trying to get Lisa up on my improv team. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that because that's what
I love improv. No, before the pandemic, like leading into the pandemic, I was doing improv at a theater up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and they're an amazing troupe. They shut down since the pandemic. They just couldn't afford it. Actually, there was some really crappy stuff that happened. There's this company called Brown Paper Bag Tickets.
Yep.
And yeah, a lot of theaters, if you work in a theater, you probably have heard of this company. Well, when the pandemic went down and everything got canceled, they ended up not refunding anybody's tickets that they had bought. Anybody who had, they were just like, nope, we're not giving any money back. Bye, everybody. And so everybody, all these little theaters, including the theater I was practicing at, or playing at, I should say.
Yeah.
It matters. Okay, it matters.
It's true.
They ended up having to shut down, and to the point where I don't know if they're going to come back, which is the fate of a lot of small businesses and theater.
That's so sad.
Oh yeah, totally. No, but I love improv. Improv totally took my podcasting game from like here to the next level. Because you're literally training yourself to have all these different avenues of thought. and it's amazing, and you can get so good at it that you can just see it sort of happen in real time. And when you apply that to an interview, I mean, that's important, because if someone you're reacting off of it, you're going back and forth, and like a true conversation is reaction, right? It's not like you're sitting here thinking like, what's the next thing I'm going to ask? Sometimes it is, but it's also like, you know, we're trying to do something here. We're creating something that's alive. And I really love that it trained you to sort of take a step back, see your options in a moment's notice, and go forward from there. And I tend to be silly anyway, so it works for me. The silly side of everything of improv as well. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic way to talk about it, because I mean, most of the people that are on this podcast are improv actors.
Oh, right.
Lisa just hasn't joined our group, but it's just inevitable. It's because of the town.
It's gonna happen.
It is
We're
gonna
about
happen.
70 miles away.
I never told you this, but I did take an improv class while I was down in Shakopee.
Did ya?
I did.
They took they taught them.
They offer a lot of different classes. I was in prison. Cat out of the bag. I went to prison. I tell people I was at an all-inclusive women's retreat.
That's right. Wait, you're for real? You're for real?
No, yeah, for real.
What, do you mind?
Yep.
Do you mind?
Nope.
Why were you?
Drugs
Sweet.
and guns.
Drugs and guns, gangster.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hey, look, Lisa. I might look like the white cis male gender guy sitting in front of you, but just know that I was out there slanging and doing dumb shit too. So just so you know, I look nice and look whatever.
Me too. I look. Somebody told me
I got a pad. So it's also no judgment here.
You don't look like you went to prison. You look like a school teacher.
And said, yeah, that's what I thought. She's an educator. This woman here is clearly an educator.
That makes so much sense. Again. Just so you know, we wouldn't trust any of our children with her at all.
No.
I probably would, but that's only because I'd most of the time be desperate. But
well, so you know, I wouldn't, but I just met you, so maybe if we got to know each other for a little bit more, you know, maybe, but I'm really protective of my child, so like I don't. So it would probably never happen, Lisa. What I'm saying, Lisa, is that you will never, ever watch my child. Okay,
you know what?
Get it out of your head.
Yeah, just stop.
It doesn't even interest me because I hate children.
She'd actually, given her life, she probably actually is telling the truth right now.
Yo, yeah. I don't like kids that much.
The only thing children are good for is hard labor and selling on the internet.
Dude. Oh. Okay. Well, you know what? Somebody's happy somewhere when they receive that package, right?
Yes. Maybe we should steer away from talking about any type of thing that could sound like child trafficking, but like we're just gonna not go that road.
The only thing I traffic are ideas.
Okay. So Mike, you're new to this podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about your podcast, though? Just what you do on yours, because I really love the name of it.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, We Speak English Good is the name of my podcast. And as of last June, I started WSEG TV on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/We Speak English Good. And the show itself has evolved over years. I was just on someone else's podcast talking about like how amazing it is that the show's been around for about 6 years. So it's amazing that I can look back and there's this record of different eras of my life, of where I was mentally, where I was financially, everything, because I do use it a lot as like a personal diary at times. And I talk very personal, like we are right now. This is very natural fit for me because this is exactly sort of how I do my podcast. It's just sort of, let's just start. Sometimes I have an agenda, sometimes I don't. Sometimes it's just, wherever it goes is how I like to do it, even if it goes into the weeds, where sometimes, we'll be talking about very, really touchy subjects and, just all kinds of stuff. And there has been this focus of mental health that's sort of grown out of it organically over the last few years, or even since the beginning. But it's all was started because I wanted to just be better at talking to people. I'm I'm an introvert, but I have but I have extrovert tendencies. I was just coming off of drinking, and a whole lot of stuff was happening in my life when I started the podcast, and I just needed a better way of communicating to people, because I always thought that I needed to be drunk to talk to people, and to, because I just don't like talking to people. I'm uncomfortable in crowds, and which is really weird that so many musicians are like this. They're just like these little nerds that want to be in their room all the time, but then they want to be on stage rocking and being gods, So it's like a very weird dichotomy that artists and musicians face at times. But the show was essentially a way for me to network, to learn how to communicate better, and speak English gooder, and it was really, and at first it was a way for me and my friends to just sit around and talk about our genitalia. So it was just that kind of show at first. It was just,
why was that never on those episodes?
You gotta start somewhere.
You do. And we just thought we were the funniest group of dudes, and we were just like, let's just talk about like this all the time. And then eventually, people came and people went, and it was just always me doing everything. So over the years, what I really love about it is that it's turned into this really organic show where it's the closest thing that you're ever going to come to be in like the tour van or the tour bus. These are this is something, it's like, I don't know, like comics have like their booth, right? They're famous for having a booth at the comic club, like at the Comedy Store, or in New York City. I can't remember all the names, but they have their booth, and they sit there and they talk shop, and that's where the real magic goes on. And I loved out of the podcasting world how comedians have sort of taken that same vibe and put it into a public forum, and sort of I like that my show has sort of become that for musicians. And if you listen to musicians talk long enough, you are going to hear us talk about our mental health. You are going to hear us talk about our viewpoint on Donald Trump. And you are going to hear us talk about like very sensitive subjects that mean a lot to us, and it's that works sometimes, and sometimes people don't like that. Sometimes people come to the show and thinking that it's, this is a music podcast, so you're going to be talking about music and how I can become a rock star. It's like, yeah, this is part of it. This is the musician's life. If you look at a musician, it's not like they didn't start out as a rock star. They didn't start out as this fully formed human being. It was a journey. It was a process. And what I love about my show, what it's become, is like we get to examine that process of what it takes to be a successful working musician, anywhere from Grammy winners to hometown heroes to just blue collar giggers. We sort of have, we talk to a whole wide spectrum of musicians to sort of paint this really interesting, to me, I suppose, this really interesting portrait of like what it means and what it takes, and what it is to be a musician and work and to use your art in a way to express yourself, but also support yourself, and talk to people who are buying, houses and Porsches with their art, and talking to people who are barely getting by and have to work a horrible factory job just so they can play the weekends and have an outlet. I think that's a very important thing to show to people, because there's this huge stigma in this country towards the arts, where, for example, when you look at school systems, when they the first thing they cut is the art programs. The sports programs are always left alone. They're money makers, right? But the arts is the first thing to go. When you come to your parents, you're like, I want to be an actor, or I want to be an artist. I want to be this. They're like, well, you need to go to college and you need to do something that you can fall back on. So
you got to get a real job.
Right. When you inevitably fail at being an artist, you'll have a job that you can go and be miserable at, and be like the rest of us. So it's like there's this weird stigma against artists, and that really they don't paint an accurate picture of what it means to be an artist, because there's paths and there's ways of going about things. It's not just like I play guitar and now I'm on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, whatever the hell that even means in today's standards. I mean, Rolling Stone magazine, who's buying magazines? You know, but you get what I'm saying, is that you know, there's this idea that you play guitar and you start singing, and then now you're famous and rich, and you're banging everything that moves, and you're doing cocaine and all that stuff, whatever it is, whatever people's look at it is. And in the reality is that there are like really set paths that you can really do if you focus and you work at it. Like you can actually be a working musician that makes money, that has a savings account, that has, you know, a 401k program, that has, you know, they buy houses and shit. This is possible. But what we're doing is we slam the door shut before we even can, you know, show what's outside. It's ridiculous. And so my show has been sort of this, it's just sort of formed into this idea that you know, this is the musician's life. This is what it's like when musicians get together and talk. This is what it's like to be a musician. And this is, you know, like, you know, but for better or worse, you know, for if you agree or don't, this is sort of the bottom line. And, you know, welcome or see yourself out. It's fine. And,
I know, I like it. Yeah.
That's great. Thanks. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've been talking a lot about censorship lately, and it kind of got like Twitch. I'm on Twitch now, and there's sort of this weird thing that's happening with my show, is that I'm taking the Twitch feeds and I'm just putting them up as the podcast. Whereas before it was just something like this, where I'm having a one-on-one, or I'm talking to a band, you know, in real life or on Skype or whatever. And there was no outside interference. It was just me, my guest, and record, and then put it out into the world. Now with Twitch, it's sort of expanded everything. Now it's a video platform. Now I'm doing 2 shows a week, whereas I was doing like 1 show every like other week. Maybe it was depending on how I felt. If I was depressed that week, there was no way I'm making any kind of contact with the outside world. So no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
So I've sort of put myself in this position, is like, no matter how I feel, I'm sort of made myself beholden to these 2 shows a week, and it's just increased my workload by a lot. But I've been talking a lot about censorship lately, and we were having one of these conversations, and now that I have a chat, so there's a live chat on the side where I'm talking, and and they have the input, and so it's very different now than just the one-on-one conversation. Now I'm inviting the world to come in and talk as well. And so we're talking and we're having this like really cool conversation about Twitch and about, you know, music streaming and being a musician and how cool it is and blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like very fluffy, very, you know, shop. We're talking shop. And we get to a certain point, because Twitch is sort of rolling out all these new words you can't say. And as a podcaster, as someone who's very big into freedom of speech, I tend to not like things that I can't say. Obviously, I'm not an asshole, because I'm not going to just go around and just drop N-bombs or, you know, and just be that kind of guy who's like, I can do it because I'm a goddamn American. You know, it's like, bro. But when you say things like, you can't say simp. You can't say simp.
You can't?
No.
What?
You can't say simp. Yeah, it's banned. Simp.
So, you know, I'm surprised they haven't. Then if they're doing it there, why they haven't banned it on TikTok then? Because it's like all over.
Right. Simp is such a huge popular word, but if you think about it like this, and this has bigger implications, it affects their bottom line, because who is on these Twitch streamers who are like, let's say, like the just chatting category in Twitch is mostly females with their bosoms out, and more power to them. Do your thing, girl. Rock. You know, women run the world. I'm all for it. And show your boobies for money. It's all good. I'm with it. I'm not judging. I love it. I'm a participant. Okay, I love it. But when you're thinking about who their customer base is, and the people who are buying these, they have bits. That's how you tip, right? You buy into their little money system. And so when you're sort of calling these people, because they are literally simping on this girl. And the definition of simping is like you're being a little bit over providing for someone in hopes of a relationship or sex even. And so you have a bunch of these people, and you got to think about these people who are on Twitch, these gamers, right? You think about gamers and think about what that comes with, and no judgment again, but there is a certain set of people that get attached to Twitch and get attached to gaming and get attached to. So you have these lonely men who are out there, might not be able to talk very well to women, and they have this awesome platform where they don't have to be face to face and interact with a real chemical reaction between two people. It's like they have this artificial way of communicating with them, so they sort of, they're in there, they're laying down the game thick, right? And as long as they're paying, they're reacting. And so when you're calling these people simp, you're going after Twitch's bottom line. My wife had to explain that to me because I was just like, this is bullshit. But my wife explained it to me in that way, and it's like, okay, I get it. But there's also a bigger implication to that there is a lot of these companies, these big corporations, who are sort of jumping on this I'm so woke thing for mad profit, for all the clicks that you can imagine, for all the representation you can see, which I'm not against representation at all, but I'm saying that there is this insidious side to things that is very corporate and very much just going for that bottom line, that dollar bill. Yeah. Dollar bill, y'all. So it's like, I don't know. There is weird things that go into that. But all of that aside, I was having this conversation with some other streamers, and we were talking about censorship, and I was getting a little worked up, and I started saying things like fuck Trump, and like I'm cussing, and I start getting worked up, and I'm like, I'm talking about him getting deplatformed, and I wasn't for that, but you know what, he was being such an asshole. I'm just glad that guy is not like fanning the flames of this fucking tire fire of a situation.
I bet it's coming. Oh,
it's coming, but at least for a few weeks we have a little silence of without the fanning of the flame. And again, I wasn't for Trump being deplatformed off of Twitter, but sure. I am happy to see that I don't have to see on the news every day, every second, that what he's done to destroy America again. So I'm just sort of, that's nice. It's a nice little period of rest that we're getting here. But so I started talking about this stuff, and the chat, this is live, people started censoring me, be like, I don't like this conversation, talk about music, blah, 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 blah. And like, I'm going to mute you. And this one person in particular started this whole mutiny. And it was just a very telling moment for me, because like, I'm just sitting there now, and it was a very I learned a lot from that moment, because it taught me that there's a certain way you can convey information that might make people uncomfortable, but you can keep them on board. They're not going to, because when you're just yelling at the, like, fuck Trump, and then they're going to take away your freedoms, and this is what the fuck, like, that is very unappealing. That's very Alex Jonesy and Rush Limbaugh and stuff, like that, which I am not. So like, there's a way to go about it. And thankfully my friend was able to sort of bring it back to music, which we were talking about in the first place, is like, we got to think about censorship, and we got to think about the people who fought really hard for us to be able to say the things we want to say and express the views that we want to express. And he brought up NWA. And that was a great example of how they were trying to censor these men, these black men who are only telling the truth. They were speaking against power, and they didn't like that. So they tried to shut them the fuck up. And that's what's happening now. And it's very scary. And people who are like, musicians and artists, they shouldn't have a say on this. It's like, that's bullshit, because artists and musicians, and we have always led the charge in breaking barriers in society. And like, from the 60s, from the early from the jazz scene, where we have black and whites playing side by side, going on tour together. We have always been at the forefront of breaking through these ridiculous societal ties. So to say that musicians and artists shouldn't have a say, and to say that, this has nothing to do with art, and this has, this is a different conversation, it's moot, it's stupid, it's pathetic. and I won't be silenced, especially on my own chat. But
Right?
again, Twitch can just shut all that down at a moment's notice. Amazon can take your servers, they can take you off their servers, completely decimating your company. And they're doing that. And what you're seeing right now with this whole GameStop and AMC thing, I fucking love it. I love
Right?
that the right and left are coming together to form this this very cohesive hatred towards Wall Street, where it should be generated. We should be mad at them.
Yeah.
We should be mad at our government. We should be mad at these people who are trying to limit our abilities to express ourselves, limit our ways to participate in the free market. They say free market. No, it's not free, because they have their technocratic watchdog. And now I know I'm sounding like Alex Jones right now, but this is not like, when I hear myself say this shit, I feel like, what, you are that person now. But this is like really what's happening. Like, they are really, for real, silencing people on a level that is unprecedented. And we have our government and Wall Street just sort of hiding behind these companies that are just sort of their watchdogs now. And the government can say, well, we support freedom of speech, but this is a private company, so they can do whatever they want. And so they can sort of hide behind this guise of free market and
Yeah.
free enterprise. And I know it's a gray area, and I know it's weird, and
Yep.
I know that there's a lot to that, and I know what I'm saying is very inflammatory to a lot of people. So when I'm saying this, it's not that I didn't think this through. It's that I just very passionate about it, and
you Mike are clearly passionate about it. And everything no, don't apologize, because everything you say is exactly how I feel too. I mean, I'm sure Lisa agrees too.
Yeah, it's nice to have someone else say it so eloquently, I guess.
Right?
Oh, wow. Thank you. That means a lot to me. You
Yeah.
have no idea how much that means to me, because my palms are sweaty. My legs are jumping up and down a million miles an hour.
We tend to not get so political on this show, but that doesn't mean that we don't share those things. And so I think it was right on point, especially because you were really aligning that to the political view of an artist.
Yes.
And I share that same thing. I get people all summer long. That's all I've dealt with, because what I do here, what my mission here in my rural community of northern Minnesota, of being a very out non-gender conforming gay person that tries to fit into it. Well, not really fit in. I don't care about fitting in anymore. But
I was gonna say what?
Lisa's like, don't lie. But that tries to live amongst the mortals, if you will, of the world community. That they're just not as woke as I am, and they're not on my level. But I'm just saying, it's like most people find that what I'm trying to put out here in our community is very inspirational to the younger generation that didn't have that. I did not have someone like me that I could look up to in this community. There are so many people that literally support me, trying to make sure that I continuously am spreading this message throughout. And I find that very important. But I also think that it's just as important for me to also share my political view in a certain sense, especially when it comes to where we're standing right now. And with All Summer, I mean, being from Minnesota, with Minneapolis being ground zero of this big movement that happened this year, and our governor is dealing with so much backlash on that. So much from the Black Lives Matter protests, and I will continue to call them protests because I support the protesters, and I know that the alt-right and the white supremacists were really ones stirring up the violence. And people could try and prove me wrong, but I don't think they can. So seeing that movement happen in Minnesota, that was really something that really struck out for me. And I am a pro-masker. I am a pro-vaccine. I am pro 6 feet apart. I am pro social distancing as best as you possibly can. I understand that you can't shut down the whole government of everything, or all of business, everything, or our economy is going to fail. But honestly, I think our economy could fail if we all die too.
Yeah,
You know,
that's true.
just
Yeah.
the thought if we're all dying from this
little-
nasty virus.
A little
Well,
aggressive, but I get the message.
I've been okay, I told you, Lisa, before we even started recording, I just finished the first season of The Expanse on Amazon.
Well, I
If
know.
you- have you seen
This
that,
is our
Mike?
other guest host.
No, you're like the fifth person to tell me that I should be watching The Expanse. It's
Yeah, when
I-
I asked him if it was good, all he did was this. Okay.
that's a good indicator there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well,
I-
you know, if you're talking with music and politics, music is a universal language,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is, you know, which is nice.
Yeah, which leaves me in a weird position, right? Because it's like it's definitely like it's a universal language that can easily be pushed into any arena.
Yeah.
I've been bringing up the idea of like the Dixie Chicks. Do you guys remember the Dixie Chicks?
They're just
Yeah,
the
no,
chick-
they're just the chicks.
Yeah, the Chicks. I'm sorry.
I'm a gay person. I'm supposed to know who they are.
Yeah.
I can't admit if I don't know.
Chicks. Right. Well, the Chicks, they back in the day when we all hated, well, when I hated George W. Bush, G-Dub.
I was on your train.
Yeah, I mean, I was out marching. I was doing the whole thing. I was out in the rain, the cold November rain, the cold Ohio November rain, knocking on doors, just trying desperately not to have that monster, which is a weird day when you're just pining for when you're like I remember when George W. Bush was our only problem when he was just starting wars and stuff, and not starting wars here at home. It's
we were also much younger back then, where
Yeah.
we didn't pay much attention to that stuff.
I did a lot.
You did?
I've just been very plugged in for a very long time. It's it's just disheartening the whole thing. But when I say plugged in, I would say I was plugged in like how I would say like 90% of Americans are plugged into news now. Like that's what I would say. I was plugged in on that very base level where I'm just taking like the face value. Like MSNBC said that, so that's true. You know what I mean? It's like, and whatever Fox News says, it has to be lies. You know what I mean? So it's like I was definitely on that, like whatever they say is wrong. Whatever my side says is completely right and always accurate. So
Well, that comes with being young, I think, too.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So-
I thought I could change the world, and I was gonna make it a better place.
And now you are with your podcast on music.
I
Yes.
tried.
I'm very excited to start listening to your podcast for sure, because I obviously the last few days that we've been planning this, I have been looking at all your stuff. You got so much going on, you got like a whole freaking empire coming up.
It's a lot, and I do it all myself. And well, I can't say all myself. My beautiful, insanely talented wife helps with a lot of stuff. So like when I say we speak English good, it's me and my wife for the most part. It's like my wife really helped me figure out a lot. Just, you know, she's just like that person I bounce ideas off, and she's also very good at implementing ideas. Whereas like I'm just like, I can think of all the ideas in the world, but then I'll be like, then I'll smoke a joint and be like, I'm just gonna play guitar for the next hour and a half, whatever.
Oh my God, he's with us. we're all synchronized now. Like we all have.
I have commitment problems.
Oh yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah.
That's why I tell Aaron, I said, I'm a great sidekick. I probably not gonna wear tights, but
I will.
I'm gonna get some of them TikTok leggings. What are you talking about?
So does it make your booty look like super good?
Yeah, which mine does already anyways, but that's
I know, right?
Yeah, like I have follow through issues. And so with having the opportunity to work with Aaron on this, it's kept me accountable.
Yes.
But he does all the hard work.
Which thankfully, right? Someone has to do
awesome. It. Yeah, I just to show up and be awesome.
I'm starting to give her a little more work. Like we have a website and we have a whole network, and now she has an email address through here, and yeah, she gets to be all Lisa at tobefairpodcast.com now.
Yeah, it's all like getting professional and grown up.
This happened. Okay, Mike. So this happened last year. I started this podcast on Anchor. I was looking for, my friends and I had been talking so much about starting a podcast. Let's talk, let's talk, let's start, let's start, let's talk, let's start, let's talk. And there was so much talk. I was done with the talk. I was like, we just do it. And I found Anchor, and it gave us an opportunity to remote record. And so I'm like, hey, Lisa, why don't you just test it out with me? And I was managing a restaurant, so I was usually getting out at like 12 o'clock. So neither of us really cared. Let's record at 12 o'clock in the morning. And we'd record for like an hour to two about just stupid stuff. And suddenly we were starting to record a whole podcast and constantly. And now we actually schedule this, like this year, it's literally, we have it on schedule calendars every Sunday night to record.
I get a notification and everything.
It's helpful.
But last year, it was literally like 20 minutes beforehand. Hey, Lisa, want to record? And she's like, oh, I got nothing else to do. Why not? So that's how it happened. We just started getting together. And then we'd kind of talk a little bit. We'd plan a little bit where, like, when we had other guests on, or sometimes Lisa wasn't on and I'd have a different guest on. I feel like I'm about to sing the song Guest On from Beauty and the Beast because it just really is feeling
well,
really
I
good.
really appreciated the Guns N' Roses reference that your Cold November Rain. I definitely thought of Guns N' Roses. You probably didn't do it on purpose. Or maybe you did.
I do like GNR, but I in that moment, not to burst your bubble, but I was just saying the Cold November Ohio Rain because.
Well, I'm gonna live in my bubble where it was me.
You know what? I don't know why I busted. That was so ridiculous. Why did I even? I should have just. I should have just
stolen that as an ownership because there'd been no way to prove you wrong.
Exactly. I could have been like, well, thank you. That's the kind of musician I am. I can just quote beautiful lyrics at will. You gotta pay your dues before you can sing the blues. Let me tell you.
I also do respond. I do respect your total honesty on that. And like, no, that totally wasn't. That wasn't happening. Planned.
That gets me in trouble. That's the problem, is my total honesty, because I'll have these moments where I get to talk to people who I've like respected for many years, and I'll be sitting across from them and telling them like, I just want you to know that I used to totally sneak into your festivals and never pay for tickets because I loved you so much that I wanted to steal right out of your pocket and take the food from your family's house. So
like how are you?
You like me now? Do I have your approval? Do you like me here? Do you answer these stupid questions now? So to a fault, that's a thing that I don't know why, and I think it's like a nervous reaction where I'm just like,
yes, word vomit.
yes, it's exactly what that is. I just got to be like, actually, no, that's not what I was thinking. It's not. It's actually. It's weird and kind of alienating at times. So it's something I've always done. It's like when someone compliments me for my playing, I used to be like, God, they'd be like, hey man, you fucking killed. And I'd be like, oh my God, I sucked so bad. I just made so many mistakes. And then they'd just be sitting here like, oh, okay, well, thought you did good, man. Thanks.
Right.
So they walk away feeling like I punched their balls or something. I don't know.
I like how you brought that up though, because I had that problem. I still have that problem because I don't play instruments, so I wouldn't consider myself an instrument type of musician, but I would still consider myself a musician in the fact that I can sing, and I tend to kind of rearrange in my own vocalizations and ways of different songs that I listen to, but I have like absolutely nobody that knows how to actually vibe with me on any level because like I can't. I have a really good tonal memory. And I'm really good at matching pitch. So if we're gonna do it a cappella, I got you. Let's do this. Let's pentatonics this thing the whole way through. But if you're gonna try and get me to read music, like we're gonna be here all day.
Yeah.
I don't pick up reading music very well. I never did. And that was something I struggled with growing up. And then even in my early adult years where, especially when I was trying to work really hard at trying to do auditions for musical theater, I didn't know how to read music. So I was always falling behind. And so I found myself in the chorus a lot because I didn't give myself enough credit for what I did know how to do. I didn't use that. I was like, oh, I'm supposed to know this. I'm supposed to do that, until I realized that as an artist, I'm not supposed to be anything but what I put out.
Right.
you know. And so I really want to take this back to a conversation because you do live streams on Twitch,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
Now Lisa and I, we do live streams on Facebook on Wednesday evenings.
Oh, cool.
And somebody did mention to us the idea of doing it on Twitch because she really wanted to like tip us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what? That's a thing? We can make money at this?
Right.
What?
Absolutely.
But I was always under the impression that like Twitch is for gamers, but apparently it expanded beyond that now.
Oh my God. Don't get me started because I mean, if you want me to start, I'll tell you. No, Twitch is amazing in so many ways. It's completely changed my life in so many ways. Like obviously, like now I'm like you're saying, like I have so much going on now that not in that braggy kind of way. I got so much going on, but like in that I am busy a lot and it's all self-imposed. Which is probably the best thing that could have happened to me during this pandemic because it's either I'm distracted with work or I'm eating myself alive. So it's like literally eating myself like yum, 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 and like internally just like you're not good enough, you're awful, you're the worst, you're fucking up fat and gross, shut up. You know, it's like
Oh, my hamster's very busy as well.
Yeah,
Get out of my head.
Right?
I know. Okay, like it's just
Hey, it's not his fault that he can rent for free. You left the door open.
True story.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. You left the door open. They're gonna come and run.
I got squatters.
Yeah.
You got squatters for real. But yeah, so Twitch was like this. Me and my wife had started a Twitch page about 3 years ago. And when we were still in San Diego, no, it was longer than that. It's been like 5 years now. Time is going. But she was going to do a Twitch thing because we had found out that there's musicians streaming. Because like you, we were like, oh, I didn't know Twitch was for musicians. When I started finding out that they started a whole new category and musicians were making money. And so we looked into it and San Diego is a very expensive place. So streaming is it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of money. It takes a lot for a good stream to look good and for it to like really come out. So you know, it takes time, and that's just something we didn't have to dump into a new venture like Twitch because there's so much that goes into it. It's almost a full-time job of its own. So pandemic comes. And we're musicians, and we watch. And she's also a theater. She works in theater as well. She was working at up in Chelsea, Michigan, at a pretty well-known theater called the Purple Rose Theater. It's ran by Jeff Daniels, who, if any of the younger folks listening don't know, Jeff Daniels.
We know the Dumb and Dumber.
Yes, thank you. It's not Jim Carrey, but I don't know why. I don't think young people watch Dumb and Dumber either. I don't know what
they should.
Well, they're missing out.
They're missing out. So it's not Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber. That's how I say it.
Yeah.
Very well-known, renowned actor. Very, you know, like he has that. Anyways, she was working at this theater. She was working actually under him directly on a play that he wrote. So we came to Ohio from California. And we were able to sort of start over and work really well. And it was working out really well for us. My podcast sort of doubled in size and a lot of good things happened. But so our whole year gets, you know, completely just dissipates overnight, like a lot of people and a lot of artists and a lot of factory workers. Like everybody took one on the chin. And Twitch was this really interesting thing that we because we started noticing our friends were on Facebook streaming and they're playing their songs. So we have a lot of musician friends, obviously, and they were out there, you know, paying rent, just streaming on Facebook with their phone. And hey, remember us? Don't forget about old, you know, Guitar Jones here. But that dried up very quickly. And so we were sort of seeing that happen in real time. We're seeing how the streams are going down in numbers, and we're trying to think of different ways as to how we're going to do it. Luckily, my wife is a voice teacher who's been working remotely for the last 4 years. So like all that happened.
Already prepared for the pandemic.
all that happened was that she got like way more students. So it wasn't an issue of us not being able to make money. It was an issue of me making money, which is a whole nother head trip on my own, because these weird stigmas we have in this country where like the man has to support, and that's deeply ingrained into my
roles.
No, yeah, I feel you there.
Yeah, gender roles are switched.
Don't get Lisa started on that today.
No, the gender roles got switched, and which they've always been in that way. My wife is always sort of, she's educated, she's smart, and she's pretty, and she's nice, and she smells good. So like people like her. So like she was always able to make more money than me. So there has been sort of this.
Sound to her, is she in the market for a new best friend?
She's in the market to sell songs and to make money. That is where my wife says that. That's actually where both are at this point. We're like, we need money now.
Yeah.
So Twitch was this really cool place where we were able to in the beginning of the pandemic, we were able to really lock into the community, because it's not just like streaming on Facebook is weird because people don't go to Facebook to go hang out in streams. You know, they go there to see the news or to hate the opposite side, you know, or fight their uncle, and you know, whatever it is. It's not really this function where people are going, I'm going to go and check out what Aaron's saying today. You know, that's not, you know, not.
Yeah, nobody does that. No.
Right. People aren't like on there to go see podcast, even though now there is the podcast scene totally growing out of it. But it is, but it is starting to become something like that. But in the early days, that's not what it was. And so Twitch was sort of this idea where it doesn't sort of peter out after a few weeks. You know, you're not going to start playing. The idea is to sort of build this community, and people come to Twitch because it is this community. Like a community has a whole life of their own. Like my wife's community is starting to grow, and she's doing much better than me. But she's also, again, she smells nice, she's pretty, and like she's talented and smart and stuff. So like. She sings real nice, so like I just like, oh, fuck Trump, you know, like, so that's not my whole show, by the way. I'm not just.
No, I get it. I know.
Anyways, I know this is way long and way over dragged out, but Twitch was this really cool community because you're building something, you're building people, and you're not just building just random people. You're building people who are really interested in what you do. They're really interested in the art you make, and they go out and support you. They go out and buy your t-shirts. They go out and download your albums. They want to listen to your music because they like you, because you're building this really interesting relationship with people from all over the world. And it's just been the most incredible transformation of my show, and just the way I look at performance, and the way that I look. Like last night, my wife randomly streamed for 12 hours. She played singing 10 of those hours, and she had anywhere from 20 to 80 people watching her the whole time. Awesome. And they're just hanging out, and she made like a couple $100 just hanging out, singing songs, like, you know. So this is a real. This is basically, I've been telling everybody, this is like the future of how we're going to be. This is where it's going. We're streaming things where, you know, Netflix, everything's getting streamed right now. We're talking to each other over a stream. Yep. And I know the world's going to open up again eventually, hopefully, maybe one day, but it's still, there's this, you're not going to close the door on this. It's out, right?
It's like the cat is out of this bag, and
when you look at streaming with like YouTube and Twitch, like they're exploding right now. And it's like when, like a few years ago when I started podcast, nobody really knew what podcast. They were just starting to know what podcasts were when I did in. And then a few years later, everybody had a podcast, and now it's like everyone has a podcast. Yeah. You know, Aaron and Lisa have a podcast. It's like everybody has a podcast, and that's how I see Twitch and streaming in general.
I've been listening to podcasts since 2015-ish, when I first moved down to Shakopee in my own prison. Shakopee is south of Minneapolis, just so you know. It's like a little suburb outside of it.
Valley Fair.
Most people go there for Valley Fair, which is the amusement park of our state.
Nice.
And it's when I was down there. So I listened to a lot of different podcasts, and most of them were because I'm such a Marvel Cinematic Universe fan.
Mhm.
They would be what podcasts about that, like, ooh, what's going to happen in the next Captain America movie, like blah blah blah. And I would, so yeah, my nerdiness got to me. But I was really, once I listened to that one, then all of a sudden I found another podcast, and I would listen to other guests that were from other podcasts, and this was really funny. And of course, being an improv actor, there's improv podcasts, so like
Yes.
there's a whole different. You can do podcasts about anything. So I'm like, how am I not in this market yet? What is going on here? So that's what I kept talking to friends about wanting to do a podcast, wanting to start a YouTube channel. I'm like, I'm watching all this stuff, but I know I'm a content creator. Why am I not creating content?
Yeah.
And so 2 years ago, I started my improv team, Self Improvement.
Nice.
Yeah, it started after the mental health journey because that's my coping skill is improv theater.
Nice.
It's how I'm able to function as an extrovert when I'm literally when I've lived a life of an introvert for too long.
I feel
Uh,
you.
yeah.
Can you just? I mean, I want to hear the rest of your story,
Yeah.
but like that. Could you think of anything that was scarier within context? That was anything scarier than that first class of improv? Like for me, it was the most horrifyingly scariest thing I've ever had to like. For me, I don't know.
Sure. No,
Maybe not for you. You might have like, this is my life now.
I mean, yeah, I guess for me, it's like I would go to improv classes and I'd watch. I would watch. I would I think I can do it, but I want to, but I was still too in my head about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, what if I get up there and I say something stupid and everyone laughs at me and makes fun of me? And I'm like, wait a minute, that's the point.
Yeah, you want that.
That's what it is.
It's bad.
I'm a professional at this. Why am I not doing this?
Yeah.
So I started just getting up and doing it. And once I started that, I was about 2010, 2011. I was taking improv classes because I was failing at auditioning at any play, anything I was doing. And so I met some friends that had a theater company in Duluth, Renegade Theater Company. Lisa, I'm sure you're familiar with. They did improv on Friday nights, and it started to get really popular. Like my friends would get done, we'd be done with our production of whatever show we were doing, and we'd go down to this theater because all our friends were acting in this improv group. And we were so hooked on this. Well, you could also go, this is the one theater in town you could actually buy beer and go and drink. So like all the college kids went down to watch this. And so I took some of the classes and I never looked back. Now, I mean, I played in Neil Simon plays because if you can't learn how to just make it up, you have no business going on a stage in general. Like if you were to drop your lines, you have to know how to keep that show moving. And improv is literally the only way I've learned how to do it. So we started doing improv, and it was 2 years ago this month, actually. And then we just kept growing, and we finally started doing shows at some local breweries. And of course, I will say my little pet peeve here against musicians in this context is that it's really tough for improv teams to get gigs on stage because we're so close together all the time, and musicians can social distance so easy on stage, and improv actors, we can't because we always want to touch each other.
Yeah. You're very close or whatever it is. Yeah, whatever it is, you have to be able to like get in people's space. Yeah,
business.
Yeah. No. It's really weird. It's really weird. Like a little bit after the pandemic, that company, I think they're called the Tipping Point Improv. Oh, no, I don't know. No, Tipping Point is another theater in Michigan. Anyways, they were trying to do it online. I don't know if you've tried any of that Zoom, but that
sounds familiar.
It did not
what
work
you're talking about.
It did not work for me. I couldn't do it. Like I was trying to be real nice, and like in that moment too, as the pandemic's developing and unfolding, and I just like everything was just like I didn't care about that anymore. Like I had totally shifted focus. Like everything had shifted focus for me towards my podcast and just building because I had nothing else to do. But yeah, the God damn it, what were we just talking about? I'm such a
We're
bird.
talking about improv classes and that in the group that you.
Social distancing.
The Zoom stuff. Zoom. Yeah,
Yes.
it didn't work. So how did that work? She was indicated that maybe that you were trying it or something.
Well, so I've tried some improv stuff over Zoom, and of course, with Lisa and I, we're doing stuff now. Well, now it's mostly Google Meet instead of Zoom, but
which is a way better deal, everybody. It's $8 a month rather than $20 or whatever the stupid pro is.
Yeah, and you get the whole Google Workspace.
Yeah, you get the whole suite. You get 100
super user friendly.
Yeah, you get way more out of Google Meets than you do out of Zoom. I will say that Zoom does have a little bit better quality, but I'm not that big a stickler where I need that little bit of quality. You know, like go to hell, Zoom. And also, you let people they're unsafe and unsecure or whatever. I don't know.
I'm working on a sponsorship from Google, so just keep it going.
Roll it out.
You know what? I do want to tell you guys about this new sponsor that I have, and I'm sorry, this is not a paid spot. I didn't get paid to do it.
Shameless plug.
No, I'm serious. Like it was amazing, you know, because when you're getting into podcasting, there's so much mystery about it. There's so like there's no real accurate way of gauging your audience. You know,
it sucks.
Analytics are garbage. There's no accurate analytics. There's no one really telling you how to go find a sponsor. There are now, but like when I started, and
you
even
help me, bro, you need to help me because like I am struggling.
Let me tell you about this podcast that this website that I just found out, podcorn.com. Podcorn.com takes the frustration.
It's not podporn.com. It's
not. It's podcorn.com. No, in all seriousness, there are some problems with it especially if you're a bigger podcast. And I can break that down for you. But what's cool about Podcorn is that they sort of lay out this very clear path to sponsorships. And it's just a site where it like Matchmaker, like that's how we met, right? Matchmaker. It's like Matchmaker. It matches podcasters up with potential sponsors. So they take 10% for a potential leads, right? Okay. So there's no money down. Like you're not paying anything unless you actually make a sale.
Okay.
Now here's the drawback. So it's great. They give you like outlines of like, here's what you could charge. Here's some pricing because like I didn't know how much you could charge for anything, right? Like no one has any real answer.
No one is teaching us this stuff. We have to help each other, and I'll get to that. But yes.
Well, what's cool about Anchor and like Podbean and all these platforms that are coming out now that I didn't have when I started 6 years ago. I'm on SoundCloud, which offers nothing. They have abandoned any kind of improvements on their podcasting thing and whatever. I appreciate SoundCloud because I had that pro membership for SoundCloud. I was able to go onto Twitch and start making money the first stream. So like whatever. It's not like SoundCloud came down personally and bestowed me this beautiful path to affiliate on Twitch, but it was just part of this thing they were doing for the pandemic. But anyways, but Podbean and Anchor, they have really cool things where you can start making money now. Even if you're a small podcast, they pay per stream, and they sort of use algorithms to match up your audience with pre-rolled ads that they think that might fit with your demographic, which is really amazing. Which I wish I had. I wish that was a thing now because you know. I've had almost 30 to 35,000 downloads a month for going on a couple years now, and I'm still growing. I've just had growth every year since we started, which is amazing. I'm super grateful, and I'm not trying to brag at all because 30 to 35,000 downloads a month is not that much at all when you're looking at other podcasts who are very successful and like Joe Rogan or any of them, just any podcast you can think of. But Joe Rogan comes to mind just because.
Well, Joe Rogan's the king of podcasts,
right? Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. He's murdering it. He's killing it right now with all of it. But yeah, so Anchor and Podbean have these really cool programs where you can start getting, per stream. And then there's this also thing when you're going out to find sponsorship, you charge per 1,000 downloads. So that's where you want to start, is per 1,000 downloads. And so you can charge like anywhere from like 15 to like 25, and depending on your audience.
CPM, right?
What is it?
Is it the 15 CPM, like by 1,000? Yeah,
Exactly. So you have Red Ava, and it's still weird to even try to like wrap your head around, right?
it's so hard. It is. There's like whoever is making this part of that side of the business is like literally a ghost. I have no idea.
It's like the inventor of Bitcoin, right? Shitoki or whatever, Shiitake or whatever his name is. It could be a person, it could be a group of people, but whoever knows, whoever is making these rules, whatever. So the drawback about Podbean is that you don't get paid per 1,000, you get paid per ad. So if you are a bigger podcast that gets like 50,000 downloads per episode, that might not be the place you want to start, or even end up. Not to say you can't go there, but it's really cool because you do get to create these relationships with these companies that can go beyond Podcorn, because there's no like exclusivities, there's no like contracts, there's no saying like you have to do this through Podcorn. It's like you have to do the initial sale through Podcorn, but if you want to continue a relationship with this company and they want to continue with you, you don't have to stick with Podcorn. You can be like, okay, well, that was Podcorn's rate. Now here's my rate going forth, or whatever it is, however you want to approach it. What Podcorn is doing is amazing because it takes the mystery out of it, and they give you guidelines, and they give you pricing, and they give you examples, and it's very helpful. And this is why I'm even bringing it up, because within the first week of sending out proposals, Podcorn themselves sponsored my show. So it was amazing. It was less than I've only sent 3 proposals in the last week, and Podcorn was one of the people who paid me for an ad that's going to be airing on the next 2 episodes of my podcast on Fridays, or Wednesdays and Fridays on my release date. So it's amazing. Again, there's a little weirdness by it, but if you're a smaller podcast that only gets a couple hundred, this is still a cool opportunity for you to sort of reach out to companies, start getting your feet wet, get your beak wet with this shit, because the more you grow and the more you get into this, and the more 6 years in, and I'm just now making money on my podcast just now. And I'm in reality, I could have been making it for the last few years if I would have just sort of put the effort in, but I always thought it wasn't good enough. And that I just was like, these numbers aren't good enough.
Yeah,
self-deprecation is such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it gets in the way of a lot of progress. I'll tell you.
Lisa,
it's in the way of a lot of life.
How many times in this last year have I been like, I'm just gonna quit? This is just, I don't understand. This is stupid. I'm not making anything. Nobody's listening to my podcast. Like literally, nobody interacts. It's so hard to tell. I'm like, why are people commenting on these people's podcasts? Why are people commenting on these people's podcasts? What am I doing wrong? Is always the question. So I've just stopped asking that question. I'm just gonna keep doing. It's really.
Well, no, being TikTok famous. What am I doing wrong?
I only have 3,000 followers on TikTok. Okay,
I have 107. So shut your face.
I think I have 4. 4 is my latest tally. So there you go.
Well, I'm a lip-sync TikToker.
I'm finally not last at something.
I was the very last to get on board. Look, I had so many people telling me like early in the pandemic, I was like, dude, get on TikTok now.
Yeah,
right now. And I'm just like, I'm not doing that. Like at that time too, I just started a Discord. You guys heard of Discord?
Oh, I've heard of Discord, and I've been thinking about jumping on that bandwagon too.
Dope. I love it. It's just like setting up chat rooms, like your own server with chat rooms on it, and it's cool.
You can following in your podcast and everything else.
Exactly. And it's really cool because you get to build your community. And again, we're talking about community. And that's what's so amazing about Twitch, is that there's this community that's growing on the Twitch side. I have this community that's been growing on the podcast side. And now I'm trying to like figure out, how do you make it like just one thing? And I don't know, because like, here's the fun thing I'm facing right now with Twitch, is that I'm talking to music streamers who, some of them have played music prior to Twitch. Some of them are just like teachers who like to play their guitar and sing. And some people are just like, just on there doing weird stuff. But the spectrum of talent ranges from, like not so great, and I'm just being nice here, to I know that don't sound nice, but not great in the standard of a conventional standard, which my conventional standard is like, would this person get paid to play for a room of people at a bar? And most of the time the answer is no. They would not get paid to do that. So that's where I'm coming from when I'm gauging people. Would that person get paid to do that? Maybe, but not for very long.
Yeah.
But then there's like amazing talent where there's people who have have a huge background in computers. They have a huge background in tech. They know videography. They know animation. They know music. They know everything. So they have these incredible streams that have just like, oh my God, the fantastic plastics. I love those people. They're amazing. They're in Indiana, in some small town in Indiana. And every Wednesday and Friday, they have like 200 people smashing in their chat because they're just going nuts. And anyways, I'm trying to find a way to make it all work, especially now that I'm trying to push for sponsorship and I'm pushing to grow a little bit. And not a little bit, pushing to grow a lot. What I'm finding is that when I'm booking musicians that are music streamers, they could have like 1,000 people in their chat all the time and making a bunch of money on Twitch. But then you look at their other socials like Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, and they have like 10 people following them. Like they don't have any albums released. And really all the stuff all this following in this community that they build is all based around them playing covers or other people's music. And then sometimes they play their own music, and then people go crazy for them on Twitch because they have low expectations sometimes.
Yeah, but it's funny when you say that, because what you said earlier about this being the new normal almost.
Yeah.
The streaming, Twitch streaming, everything is kind of the thing now. I mean, I feel that we're going to get back to the world where we're going to have live shows, live gigs in venues. I do have the faith in that. But I also realize that this is also still going to be out there. There's still all those people that don't want to have to leave their homes.
Yeah. And this is the new normal.
It is.
Plain and simple. Like this is the progression. Like this is the evolution of technology.
Yeah, Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
Ready Player One, man.
Oh my God, get out of my, for real. Like this is like a weird trifecta. I was just thinking like it's gonna be Ready Player One. It really
Ready
is.
Player One. Oh yeah, and then
no reason, even right now with the technology, there's no reason that any of us have to be near each other at all.
And now they can just start sending the drones out to deliver stuff too.
Yeah, so Skynet is coming.
China's coming.
Oh, she said Skynet.
Oh, Skynet. I thought you said China.
AI scares the bejesus out of me.
Lisa likes to reference Skynet a lot because she's terrified of AI.
Well, Skynet and the Umbrella Company, the Umbrella Corporation.
Yes.
No, I'm with you. I'm a little freaked out about all that as well. It's a strange new world that we're embarking on, but I think you're right. No, we're gonna have people who the thing is when you think about the growth of music streaming, you gotta think about it how we looked at YouTube or podcast. And YouTube at first was people like, sending videos or posting videos of kittens and like people getting hit in the nads with wiffle balls and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was stupid videos of people just uploading that they could easily share with their friends or whatever. And then Justin Bieber, right? And then now. Yeah, now it's like you have a whole genre of YouTube stars, and you have TikTok stars, the stars.
You get the big button from YouTube.
Yeah. When you think about it like that, you're almost certain that there's going to be a Justin Bieber of Twitter, right? You're almost certain that there's going to be these stars that cross over and make it into the mainstream that sort of bring everybody else into the fold, just like Joe Rogan did, and Mark Maron even, and these are all comic. I'm trying to think of other ones, but I'm in the comedy, so but these are big podcasts that sort of brought people, the rest of the country and the rest of the world into the fold of what is possible to do. and not so much of an outsider. And now podcast and YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, these are all the leading ways that you can have a business online. And these are the leading ways to get your name out there and to build a brand of yourself. So like, this is what we're doing now. And yeah, to say that music streaming doesn't really have a place in the future of an open and free world where we get to go to music concerts, I think is ridiculous, because look at YouTube and look at how prevalent and how important YouTube is. I mean, I don't care about cable. I don't care about, having packages, satellite packages. I have a few apps
streaming now
and YouTube, and it's mostly YouTube. I usually watch YouTube, or I'm on Twitter, or I barely go on Netflix. I barely watch any sort of
I have
TV
found
shows.
myself
Even I have a hard time watching anymore.
I have found myself I watch like HBO Max. There's a few things that I really enjoy.
HBO Max is amazing.
Disney Plus is a must have.
Yeah, I love The Simpsons. So
yes,
my son does too.
And I have Discovery Plus also, but Netflix,
nice.
I find myself meh. I'm watching The Expanse on Amazon because I pay for a Prime subscription anyway. So
Prime is amazing. As much shit as I talk about Amazon and Bezos, fucking Amazon and Prime is amazing.
Don't get rid of your Prime. Like Prime is like the Prime.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can also watch old episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer there, so we're good. Lisa and I are extreme Buffy fans.
Oh, nice.
Did you bump your head? Oh yeah, I'm a fanatic.
Oh yeah.
I never got into that. I know like that creator of that show is like has like a whole fandom around him and other show. Like, what is the other show he did? Like Glitter, or no, not Glitter. Firefly. Thank you. Glitter. Thank you for getting Firefly out of Glitter. What in the hell was I even trying this? Glitter.
Well, she's a Joss Whedon purist. I didn't watch Firefly. I watched Buffy. I watched Angel. I watched Dollhouse. I watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Of course, the Avengers and Avengers: Age of Ultron. And then, of course, there was the Firefly movie, Serenity. I did see that. But
I went down that rabbit hole on Joss Whedon.
I'm shunning him right now because he has not watched Firefly, which is not fair because there are so many shows that he's told me to watch that I have not even looked at.
If you guys were ever thinking about going on Twitch, by the way, I know we were just talking about Twitch and we're going to, but if you guys ever went on Twitch, I think you guys would do really well, because you guys are obviously into some really nerdy shit. No offense. You guys obviously have your little nerddom thing going on. And again, no offense, same here. I'm just
different kind of nerd
brand, just a different brand of nerd.
Yeah.
These are the type of things that people love about people. That's what I love about Twitch, and to some extent building communities on YouTube. I can see the potential, and Facebook as well. I can see the potential, but nowhere have I seen the idea of a community not enforced, but just sort of laid out. And I've never seen a social media platform with such a clear path to not just making money, but to become a partner with them, to grow. Like the analytics on a Twitch stream are fantastic. Like to the second, like you can look at a graph that shows like how many people in your stream, like by the minute, right? And you can be like, okay, we were going fine, and then all of a sudden there's this huge dip. What the hell happened? So you can actually go and touch the little point where it was going down and see what you're talking about. And in this case, it was when we were talking about music, censorship, and then back up. So it's like,
okay, I
see exactly what's happening, what's the vibe, what's created, like in real, like just exact moment. It's the analytics are incredible. I've never seen a social media platform that has made it so laid out, and so, because how the hell do you grow on Instagram without buying likes and friends and stuff?
Oh my God, I know. Like
you grow on Facebook.
Likes on Instagram, I'm like, they're literally paying for like $1,000 a day of new bot likes. Like,
yeah, sweet.
What?
That's what I need. I need a bunch of nobodies liking my posts because nobody cares about me. That's what I need to make my
Well,
self
that
feel
is
better.
great for the mental health.
Yeah, that's
I
really
pay
great.
fake people to
I'd
like my
pay-
stuff because I suck
Pay
at
for my
life.
followers. I'm somebody.
I
Yeah,
am
and
somebody.
I know that's not why people do it. And I have thought about it because it does look good when you have 10, 20,000 followers on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah.
It looks really good. But as soon as you start looking through comments and pictures and stuff, you see that like one person commented, you have 30,000 followers and one person commented on this and it was just like fire emojis is like that's what you got was fire emojis. You have 30,000 people.
That
And
is the same on TikTok. Like I get a lot of views on my TikTok videos. Not a lot, not as many as some of like there's literally like tiers of where you are. And I'm like, so it's like Lisa's probably down in like tier 1. I'm probably in tier 2.
Mhm.
And that's
Siri
only because
just puts me out. He's just like, yeah, I'm so much cooler
But you
than
can feel good
Lisa.
because I'm in tier like -1, so you're good. You're still above
Lisa, at least we didn't talk about age today.
Why? We were doing so good.
You're talking about age. I'm 37 and I feel
Yay!
We're all 37. All three of us
One
are 37.
of us. One of us.
yeah, I'm almost 40.
Level
Yay.
37.
1983, Mike?
I'm sorry?
Are you 1983? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
April 83.
Oh, shut up. You're both older than me.
Ah, the
Lisa's
youngest in the room.
March.
older than both of us, so
March. Early or late? Like, are you
Early,
Aries?
the 10th.
Oh, so
Pisces.
you're Pisces. Yeah, that's
Yeah, I'm all Pisces too. All of it.
Pisces. Straight up
So
Pisces.
crazy. So crazy and overly
so-
emotional.
and
I'm
extremely
very- and extremely what?
fishy.
Fishy. Oh, well, that's that's
That can be
odd
misconstrued and taken out of context.
Well,
Don't
that's
talk
not my
about my criminal
problem.
life.
Not my problem.
very fishy.
That's okay because I'm a Cancer. I have crabs.
Oh, that's nice.
Have crabs. You know what I love about Minnesota is what they call hot dish. A hot dish.
Tater tot dish.
Tater tot hot dish. Damn right.
Oh, Mike, you just don't know what you're missing if you don't have a good tater tot hat dish and to follow it up with a good tapioca pudding with some snickerdoodle cookies. Oh, you're just plotting yourself all over the place.
Oh, stop.
Oh,
You stop. You gotta bring the
yeah.
Jello to the church for lunch.
Oh yeah. We'll
I
bring,
used
those
to.
wine,
I used
we'll
to.
bring those wine coolers down to the hockey arena and watch the boys play on the hockey.
I love that. I've come to embrace the culture of Midwest at an arm's length, but I embrace it. It again at an arm's length.
That's like Minnesota nice. Like that is a thing.
No, it's not. It's fake.
Yes, it is.
It's
well,
not.
I went
Minnesota
to-
nice is fake nice, right? It's like someone
Well,
just
It's
let me
Minnesota
just-
passive aggressive.
passive aggressively
Oh.
being nice. Oh, yeah, we get opers. We get lots of opers,
Let me
but
just sneak right past you. I'm just gonna sneak right
Look,
past you there.
let me tell you something. After 13 years of being on the West Coast and being inundated in the music scene out there and traveling around and doing all that shit, coming back here and just being absorbed back into the realism that is the Midwest, because there's nothing like 5 to 6 months out of the year the weather is like literally trying to kill you. Like you step outside without a coat, you'll be dead in minutes. Like you have to. There's something about that builds some kind of character in people that you don't see out in the sun-baked and permanently hot tubbed Southern California. You know what I mean? It's just it's a very different breed of
skin.
They can be very leathery, but
It's more of a
they
Florida
are-
thing.
I was gonna say that's more Florida.
Yeah, well, Florida has its own vibe.
Yeah.
That's their own thing going on.
Only in Florida.
But no, the reason I say the Minnesota nice thing is because when I went to vacation, I went to New York.
Mm.
I don't ever want to do that again. I hated it. I mean, I loved it. I loved it. Okay, I loved it,
it's nice.
but I hated it.
Yeah.
Times Square was oh my God. I was filled with anxiety the whole time.
Isn't it fun just walking around with a bunch of dudes with a bunch of automatic rifles standing around? Isn't that fun and relaxing and fun for the whole family?
And then you get all these weird people trying to like give you stuff, but then they want money for it. Like, here, let me give you my demo CD. Oh, are you gonna pay me for it?
Yeah.
No.
I love that New York hustle, but I never want to be in it. I never want to live there. It seems
I know,
terrible.
like
it's just the culture is amazing.
yeah.
I mean, I can't tell you how many different languages I heard, which is super cool. The food's awesome. It smells like hot garbage and pee. And that's being kind. I don't know if you get, I mean, Aaron, you're gonna have to go there one day.
Oh, it's gonna happen, but my trip I've already booked with my girlfriends. We're going to in the fall. We're gonna go to New Orleans.
Oh no!
I'm super jelly.
I'm so excited. So excited.
That place is cool. I've never been there, but that place is cool.
We went.
Just the history.
The history, the jazz history. Oh my God, the culture, like the whole history. I'm so excited to learn how to make a voodoo doll.
Oh. Yeah,
like,
you can miss me with all that. You can miss me with all the bad juju.
Amy always says, you remember Amy, she used to be on the show sometimes.
Yeah.
She used to say, it would be irresponsible of anyone to teach you dark magic, Aaron.
That's true.
It's the same reason why I don't have a gun in the house. It's like there's no reason for me to have a gun in the house. I'm too reactive to just be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna go in there and just, like it's just I have that burn it all down. When I'm in that state of mind, it's like nothing matters but knowing that whatever my next action is going to burn the shit down and to unrecognizable. So
0 to 100, just like that.
Yeah, that too. That too.
I'll light myself on fire just to kill you.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
Burn myself in your kitchen.
Yeah. You guys are all in for it now.
Man, it's just nice to be around like-minded people.
So yeah, Mike, you said about how your schedule is so busy all the time, and this is my new thing for 2021, as Lisa can attest to, since she's on a lot of my schedule. So I work a Monday through Friday day job. I work with domestic abuse victims. Yeah, and so that's my day job, and so that can be emotionally draining as it is. Then on Wednesday nights, Lisa and I do a live stream talking about mental health, different things about the stories. Especially she and I have known each other through a lot of my journey, and so she's able to share that perspective from the other side, where I always thought of myself as nothing important, nobody, like nothing I was going to do was going to amount to anything. And Lisa is just kind of like, I call your bullshit.
Yes.
And so that we do that, and then Sunday is recording the podcast, and then I also do special extra special episodes where I call them a blast from the past, where I bring on different friends of mine from different theater experiences, different types of my life that they've known different versions of me. That we're able to kind of share. And so it's really fun to do that. So that puts on a whole nother schedule. And then I'm also doing improv still with my group through Zoom or Google Meet, but we're also trying to do YouTube stuff. Like when this first started, we tried doing this web series called Quarantine Survivor. So it's our own version of Survivor, but we were all trying to do it during the quarantine, and it was just ridiculous, and it didn't work out. We all kind of had too many different ideas of what we wanted to do, that it just went kaput, and we're like, we don't want to do this anymore. We took a break.
Too many hands in the same cookie jar.
We had too many people who all had a different idea of what they wanted of it. So then
it's like being in a band. I get it.
Yes. This group is exactly like being in a band, except none of us are smart. So
neither are I.
Yeah, oh my God, Aaron.
But anyway, so we go to we take a little time off, and then our Performing Arts Center here had been doing some outdoor performances, and they love working with us mostly because we're cheap. And we got to do a couple of performances out in this arena, but like social distance. It was really cool, but it was really cold too, because it was like early fall. so then we got done with that, and then one of my other producers from the group, we just started talking about this weird idea to make a web series of, but this time let's start small and we'll see how it goes. And I'm like, so what can we do where we can still socially distance, use us like a video conferencing like Zoom or Google Meet, and record and be able to edit that into a series, like maybe 12-minute episodes at the most. And we were like, I'm like, what if we actually did something where we were actually in a pandemic and this was the only way of communication, and there's drama or comedy, whatever. And suddenly it became, what if it was The Office that had to work in a pandemic? And so we're kind of like inspired by the show The Office.
Yeah.
Like creating a whole company with that have to work via Zoom and have the weirdest characters and the weirdest.
That's like really dope.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
This is the first that I'm hearing all these details about it. So,
well, I didn't want to give too many spoilers on this because I'm pretty sure the rest of the group is not going to be very happy that I put this out on my podcast. But at the same time, I don't think I gave too much away. I gave enough away for people to be like, wow, that is an interesting idea. Thank you for both of you guys validating that, because
that premise, by the way, that's a whole premise that you just gave away that could easily just be like, oh, that makes a lot of sense to me. And then however someone else interprets that, and then they go do it. But just say like premises are huge. Even if there's no detail around it, a premise is a huge jumping point for.
Yes, and if somebody else takes the premise and stuff like that, then I failed myself. But all I have to look at is that I have to have my show stand on its own.
Yeah.
Like I used to spend too much time worrying about what other people were doing, how other people were succeeding, how other people were getting lead roles in theater than I was. Instead of working on how I could better myself to get there, I was wondering why I wasn't getting that.
Oh yeah.
Why I was entitled to that same thing when this I mean I'm clearly putting in the manpower, the man hours to learn certain things, but I'm not actually putting it out there. So instead, I'm spending all this time just being resentful and jealous of other people. And I'm over it. I'm over that. Just like I'm over talking about doing things. I'm like, we live in a world now with these platforms, podcasts, like you're saying, Mike, Twitch, YouTube, all these different things. I'm a big fan of TikTok. Some people make so much fun of people who are TikTok creators, but whatever, that's on them.
There's a whole thing, man. Like, and the thing is, what I would say to those people who are like, oh, you're just a TikTok creator, is like, if you can find your way in, you can fucking be successful with it. So go jump off a bridge, go back and work in your cubicle and be miserable. I'll figure out a new way to make income and make a way for myself.
Right.
And
even if it is something like TikTok. Yeah. Even if it is something like TikTok or Instagram, you find your way, but there's some downfalls of that shit too. I feel really bad for these ladies who, put a lot out there, and because I know a few, and my wife teaches some Instagram ladies who have, what's that site that they have that the what do you call it? The one site that where ladies go on, you can pay to see their OnlyFans. Yes. So I don't
think OnlyFans do it, but
no. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to I'm just saying, like, people. I guess I shouldn't gender it because there are tons of people.
No. Yeah, I wasn't a call out. That was just like
no. But it's true, and it is true that a lot of people are on there, and I don't mind getting on board with the fucking current times here. It's not just women who have emotions. But what I'm saying is that just knowing some of these people personally and reading about it, it's like a lot of people they measure their self-worth on how many likes they got, and it's like if their post didn't do well, then it's like I'm ugly, and it's like it's a very sad part about that. That's a sad side about social media and all of that. But if you can find a way through that, if you can navigate past those awful feelings, because I've been there, I still deal with it. I've gotten a lot better in these just in this last year, I've gotten so much better. I mean, because especially starting over from scratch again with a whole new platform like Twitch, It's just I'm used to not having anybody respond. I'm used to talking into nothing. You know, I'm used to talking to nobody. Like you said, you don't get any feedback, right? Like I can count. I probably gotten like 30 emails in 6 years, maybe. Sure. And some of those are just like, one of them was a guy who was mad because I had my show was called We Speak English Good, and he like literally ranted like a whole 3 or 4 paragraphs on how I was ruining people's education and these poor kids that I'm trying to teach English to. And I'm like, yo, bro, did you even listen to the show? Like, it's a music podcast where I just talk about my dick for like 3 hours. All right. So like, have you even listened
Nobody
to
likes nuance anymore? That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oversensitive, takes everything
yeah. Listen, but you know what's interesting is talking to people in the Midwest, and when I'm talking about this realism, is that I can talk to a gay gentleman in the Midwest who's like, you're being way too sensitive. You know, I could talk to my friend who's a Midwester who looks like she feeds her cat vegan cat food. You know, she looks like that. She has blue hair and everything, but she is staunchly right-leaning. She doesn't swear, and she's very into God, and she goes by she, and she's very against people with the censorship, and she attracts a lot of people who thinks that they're on their side. This like you're saying, this oversensitive group of people who are sort of running a lot of stuff right now, or at least dictating stuff. But you know, she'll have problems with that. She'll actually have issues where it's like, she'll have like maybe someone from the trans community come in and start saying whatever it is. And I don't know I don't know what it is, but you know, she'll be like, I don't agree with that. And she starts censoring herself because she wants to be nice. And she's a very nice girl, very godly, which is really another interesting thing too, that, that idea of God and being gay and like being very close to God, close to God.
Conversation, if you will.
No. Well, she was telling me on my show. It just came out. That was my last episode that just came out. Was Gail Hakes West, I think. Yeah, Gail. She's amazing, and she's over the last few months we've become really close friends. She's a Twitch streamer as well, and wonderful musician and singer songwriter. You know, she struggles a lot because she's very, very deep into her religion. She's just the nicest person, and she's very opinionated. So it's just really nice to talk to people, because coming from the West Coast, and I'm sure you guys just reading or looking, that we have a lot of elitist ideas that come from the coast, from people who from these very rich established places, these ideas that I don't feel like gels with everybody. You know, obviously it doesn't gel with you. Like you're saying that people can be a little oversensitive, whereas some people would look at you and be like, how could you say that you're against us? You know, to say something like that, to stand up against someone saying, you know, is considered hate speech now. So
very black and white thinking.
Exactly. So, but that's what's
with us or against us. It's right, it's wrong.
Right. But that's what's refreshing about the Midwest. And when I'm talking about a sense of realism, I'm talking about people who have real lives, who have to shovel their car out of snow. They have to go to work every day. They're not living 3 blocks from the beach, you know, getting the suntan every day. They get like the sun like 70 days out of the year. You know, it's you know what I mean? Like these are real people who are living real lives, who are working real jobs. And when you get out into the coast and you get to these bigger cities where it's so expensive to be there, you're getting this mentality that comes with that. You're getting this elitist college mentality that I'm educated and I know better, and I'm a job maker. And meanwhile, poor people are getting pushed out into the desert. Well, in San Diego, where I was at, people are getting pushed out into the desert. These old classically Mexican barrios are getting taken over by a bunch of hipsters, which is fine. It's whatever. I'm not one of those people who are going to say don't turn the hood into a livable place, because I'm from the hood and I don't like it. I don't live there. I don't want to go back there. It's like, it's not something I'm into. So, I mean, improving neighborhoods are good, but what's coming along with it is these like unreasonable amounts of money that go into it. And if you have that kind of money, you also have that kind of mindset And I feel like a lot of it's coming from that elitist kind of thinking, and it's sort of trickling down through Facebook and the media and how everybody, and people are using it to their advantage, for political advantage. They're using it, and they're using it for profit. And so it's these ideas that are sort of come from the coast but don't really exist in the Midwest is sort of how we got a Donald Trump in the first place, because of these ideas of these flyover states and these hayseeds and these people that don't matter, or the deplorables, or whatever it is. This generalization that the people in the middle are somehow, their opinions are foolish and behind the times. And it's like, no, this is like the reality of things. You're the one who's kind of living in this like extra reality that you sort of painted. And the reality is that most people are just trying to live their fucking life, and they're just trying to get by, and they're not sitting there on Facebook and Twitter like just canceling people at the drop of a dime. And some people, please, I would love for someone else to talk.
No, it's fine. I like that you brought up the cancel culture thing, though, too, because I want to touch on that. But I do want to bring it back to a point where you're going. Is this whole the whole series podcast is called To Be Fair, and some people tend to think it's a Letterkenny reference, but as much as I love the Letterkenny reference, a good Letterkenny reference. Are you familiar with Letterkenny, Mike?
I'm not, but I'm writing it down. What is it?
Okay, Letterkenny.
Letterkenny.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. It's a very interesting perspective comedy. Lisa, have you seen it?
Not really, no.
I haven't watched enough of it to really for it to matter. So the show has nothing to the title of my podcast has nothing to do with that Letterkenny reference, because there's a whole reference where they're like, to be fair. Like they just do a whole episode or a
Is
whole.
it like the Trailer Park Boys? Is it kind of like
they're like a Canadian Trailer Park Boys?
Aren't the Trailer Park Boys Canadian?
Maybe, but this is a new.
It's another Canadian Trailer Park Boys, Lisa.
There could be only one.
But
like
so they have a lot of references that go to it. I think you might actually find the episodes are only like 15 minutes too. So
I like shows like that. I don't have to commit. Oh, there's that word again.
No committing.
My commitment issues are the reason that I do not have a boyfriend and I do not have a tattoo.
That's fair.
It is.
I have plenty of tattoos.
I cannot lock myself down to a tattoo because
I can't wait to get another one.
I would love for you to sort of shore up this point you were making. I want to know where you're going with this.
With the whole fact of the cancel culture?
Yes.
And the name of the show. Okay, so the name of the show is To Be Fair, because I like to have conversations that are all about from other perspectives. Like I can share my opinion in the world, but my opinion is good to someone else as my eyeballs, my nose, they're all for me. Like my opinion isn't going to change someone else's mind unless if that's my goal and I'm if I'm aggressive about it, I really can't plan to have any conversation with anyone.
Right.
And so, yes, I post things that are anti-racist. I post things that are my perspective. This is how I see it. I do not post things on social media to cause discord, if you will. I do not talk about things to cause conflict with other people. I share my opinion because I have the right to do that. This is how I see the world, and this is the shitstorm I'm seeing happen right now. The fact that, racism is a problem. Homophobia is a problem. Transphobia is a problem. Every type of bigotry is a problem. We're in the middle of the worst that we've ever seen in our world, or in our lifetimes for sure. And I don't have time to sit there and focus on only Black Lives Matter, because I'm like, I support the movement. I totally do. But I also need to focus over here, where we also need to make change here, and we need to make change here, and we may need to make change here. So I'm like, I have an opinion on everything, and sometimes it might make myself sound like I contradict myself in another area, and I hate that, because then someone tries to call you out on that. Oh, but you just said this.
Mhm.
Like, how do you think that if you think that? It's like, because I can do what the fuck I want.
True.
Like, I don't have to explain myself to anybody. But for some reason, we live in a world where apparently you do. You
Mhm.
have
And yeah,
you have to put your
explain yourself, apologize for everything.
yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like I get it worse in the sense that I am a minority. I am a member of the LGBTQ plus community. I am somebody who fights. I am a radical feminist. There's so much that I believe in, but I'm like, I don't think I have to be limited to one way or thinking. Like, I can be open minded to a conversation with somebody who I do not share the same opinion with.
Mhm.
I grew up in a fundamental Christian household. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to have a conversation about religious beliefs, or the Bible. But I want everyone to know before they ever have that conversation with me that that is going to be my opinion, my perspective, and you can take with it what you leave.
Yeah.
Well, and you can't grow unless you have some sort of, conversations. If you, like the three of us, if all we talked about and if we always agreed on everything that we talked about, how boring.
Right?
Yeah.
It would just
Absolutely.
be so boring.
I know, I mean,
There's no room for growth or learning.
yeah.
It's, who knows, maybe Michael say something and it will inspire one of us to change or try something new, or but if we all think the same thing all the time, I mean, it's just like talking to the wall.
Yeah, and also another thing that comes with this like ideology groupthink is like if there's no other side to the equation to sort of question or speak truth to that, power ends up sort of creating this positive feedback loop that sort of creates like I know this is extreme, but like we're the path to Mao's China or the killing fields of Cambodia, or Fox News, whatever it is, you can have if there's no other side to the argument, that side power doesn't just stop, right? Power doesn't like, we have enough power, we're good here, right? It keeps
Right.
going. Control, more money, more power, more of this. And even if we have this sort of altruistic ideals, where it's like, oh, everybody should be able to live together and blah 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 blah, that's really nice, but that can also turn into like, now you're not allowed to talk about now you're not allowed to sing songs about Jesus because God offends people in the school system, and we don't want people to be mad. So now it's illegal, and if you're caught doing it, you're because things can get to a point. I know that's extreme, but to think that those types of things don't happen in modern world is just foolish. There's so much. I mean, we have more slaves, like enslaved people in the world now than we ever did in history. So it's very easy for us for a country to fall, for a country, for you have enough you got enough corruption, you got enough dissent, you got enough. I mean, because
Yeah.
I mean, the thing about dissent is that it's very profitable. We make these companies, media companies, make a lot of money off of these clicks, and it doesn't have to be even real news. You just gotta have to click. It has to, not. I'm not trying to say fake news and stuff, but
Well, clickbait, just
clickbait. The thing is that there's so much information and there's so many people lying. There's so many people telling their own side of the story. When you're telling me about how white supremacists were the cause of all the problems that were in the riots and stuff in Minnesota, and there was like, you're like, you can tell me anything you want, but you can't, I know what's true. Because I heard things like Antifa also did, or even cops, which all of these things have happened. It is proven that cops have gone and started riots in the Seattle. What was that? Something.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking
There's
about.
definitely people who go and start riots to shut things down. There's definitely people from Antifa who went out and started doing crazy things and got wild. There's definitely white supremacists who were planning things and and doing stuff. So what's interesting about right now is that we have no real solid source of information, because everyone has sort of like it doesn't matter anymore. Now it's all about just as long as people click, that's all that matters. And you don't even have to have a truthful story. No one's held accountable. No media is held accountable. None of these none of these tech companies. It's literally by law they are not accountable for any of the shit that sort of gets out there. And it's just a very weird time to be in, where the establishment has sort of taken on this business model to sow dissent because it sells papers, it sells clicks, it motivates people to get to the voting booths, right? It motivates dissent, thinking that we have an enemy. And again, bringing it back to sort of this, I love that we're collectively hating Wall Street right now as left and right people. We are collectively hating them, but we're going to need to get past that shit. We're going to have to find out how to communicate. And that's what I love what you're saying is like, I know I have my own feelings about things, but I'm not going to say, if someone's coming at me in a respectful way, that's not being abusive or being ridiculous or being, or racist or whatever, if we can sit down and have a real conversation about why they feel like that, that's what it's about. And the problem is now is that we're not even allowed to have that. And if we want to have those conversations, we're called pariahs. I'm telling you, this Twitch thing has changed the way that it's influences me, and I catch myself not saying things, and that's not the way shit should be. Like, I should be able to say what I want and accept the consequences if I say something stupid. You know what I mean? So that's fine. I'm okay with that. But for people to sit there and be telling me that I can't talk about that and I can't have these conversations. I have a friend of mine who used to be the co-host of the podcast when I was in San Diego, MC Offbeat, who is he was just Trump all the way, and just all the way from the beginning to the end. He saw it at the beginning. He was like, Trump's gonna win. I'm voting for Trump. And I see the appeal now that we sort of are looking at it, hindsight 2020. I see the appeal of someone who came in, was like very anti-establishment, elitist and stuff, and appealed to a certain sect of people who felt like they were misrepresented and told that they were deplorables and told that they were stupid and told that their opinions don't matter because they're in flyover states and they don't. So go fuck yourself. So yeah, I see the appeal. Now, his PR team just failed him. I mean, he failed himself, but he's just terrible at conveying the message. His messaging was just terrible, and I'm so glad he's gone. Fuck him. Fuck Trump. Fuck Trump 2020. That's my motto.
Yeah, we're all agreeing there. Yeah.
But it's still, but the implications are bigger because they completely put their business model on creating this divide. They went all in on this business model of let's sow as much dissent. Let's go even to the point of lying about things because we don't like this guy, which great. No one liked, there was a lot of people that didn't like him, and I didn't like him, and I would have been happy to get him out, but not under false pretenses, not under lies, not under, we're not doing ourselves any good by sort of jumping on whatever narrative is being sowed. We do need to take a little bit more responsibility and look into these stories. And I don't want to sound like I'm a Trump sympathizer at all, but I would have my friend on and, I'd find myself agreeing with these things. I'm like, oh shit. Well, I think Space Force is a good idea. I like space. Space Force is cool. But I would get so much shit from Twitch and personal friends for having him on my show because I'm a musician and I talk to a lot of people and I'm laid back and I'm cool and I'm supposed to have this I'm supposed to be in line with a certain ideology that I'm definitely not all on board. I am a lot. I consider myself liberal. I consider myself a leftist. Like but it's really weird that that's why it's so weird for me to see this sort of this whole censorship and this whole like keep your mouth shut, because liberals, I feel like we're always the ones who are starting shit, right?
Yeah.
Like
oh my God, thank you.
were always
Yes.
the one who was like, we need to get, like gay marriage. Like, what? It took fucking how many years for gay marriage?
Gay marriage. Why are we still talking about
liberals?
slap it in the books and let's move on? Let's make
It
it
was
legal.
so stupid.
Why is it such a conversation? Why does it have to be? I don't care of your religious beliefs. I don't care of anything. It's the dumbest thing. Just slap it in the Constitution because it's a human right. Get over it. Move
Right.
on. We have bigger things to talk about.
I think the gays deserve to be as miserable as the rest of us. Okay, so
Yes.
get out there and get yourself some.
Trust me, I'm miserable enough
Just
single.
kidding. I love my wife and I'm very happily married.
Yes, but I'm just saying is
That doesn't change the truth to your statement.
I am miserable enough single. I do not need to bring someone else into this shit show.
I'm horrible. I'm a handful. I get it. Like,
I am such a handful.
No, you'll find somebody who'll handle. Look, I felt the same way. And then I met my wife, and it took a real woman to make me a man. So let me tell you, I was not a man. I was a child. I was a little boy who was. I was a child.
I think I need to find me a real woman to make me a man.
I'm just
Me
saying.
too.
For me, it worked. It worked out, and it put whatever.
When it fits,
whatever you want with whatever fits your thing, and there we are. But it just takes someone with patience, I think, and tolerance.
I was not.
Handle people like
It was not a virtue I was blessed with.
All right, so I'm gonna bring this to a wrapping close because we've had a good conversation. Just a little heads up, we're probably gonna have to split this episode into 4 parts, like the Buffy episode. But I'm okay with that because it gives us 4 episodes. But
So it just makes it seem like we're planning. We're like,
don't let people think that we have a plot or a secret. Like we actually have an agenda.
I have lots of secrets.
Don't make it look like I'm getting organized in my process here.
That's a swear word in my life.
Organized?
Yeah.
that word is canceled. I know you want to rap, but I'm really interested and
the cancel culture part.
No. Well, I think I kind of got your idea on it, but I'm really interested because of my friend. And I saw that you have this big thing on the back that says God made you, and it's very positive, and God with the uppercase. So I'm just wondering, is God and religion a very
I plan
big part of your life, and how is your relationship with that?
I do. Thank you. Actually, I do plan to have an upcoming episode and stuff about that conversation with some other of my religious friends. But it's an interesting point of view for me because I was raised so Christian, born again Christian in my family, and so of course I spent so many years as a child knowing that I was gay, but trying to be well, I got to fix this because that's not God's plan for me. And God, why is God doing this to me? Blah, blah, blah. It would just get it caused more anxiety for my life than probably anything else. And so when I did come out and I dealt with my church's belief on that and feelings on that and family's beliefs on that and everything, it was one of those things where I just had to finally explain to them that I've done the best I can. To do this. I'm not going to continue to lie to myself or God, for that matter, about who I am, because I was pretty much on the bandwagon of Born This Way before Lady Gaga made that popular song. But that song really does explain it really well. Because I believed it was if I prayed, I spent many years, many days, many evenings praying to God to lead me to what I was supposed to do, how I was supposed to live my life, and why he was punishing me with homosexuality and all those feelings. Because I have done nothing but serve him my entire childhood and teenage years. So why the hell are you doing this to me? Until finally one day I had this epiphany that what if this is what God's plan was for me? What if this is what his intention was? And so a lot of times that since I'm not in relationships, but I have to deal with the fact that I am extra. I'm a cliche stereotype in so many ways that people can tell I'm gay. I don't hide that very well. So automatically I deal with homophobia from every corner of of my day. Like
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form, I will deal with homophobia every single day of my life. And that's not even an exaggeration. And so that is something I deal with, and I've had to overcome and turn into a positive to try and inspire other people to realize that, um, especially if you're going to still keep your faith in anything, that you're going to be able to realize that everything you're doing is just as you were taught, that God has a plan and has no responsibility to tell anybody what it is,
Mm.
not even me. And so all I know is I'm doing the best I can do by living the best way I can. And if I do anything to purposely manipulate that or allow someone else to go and do a conversion therapy of any sort, then they are legit. Everyone is going against God's plan, in my opinion. And then, so that brings me into the whole conversation about religion on how I actually believe in God in my particular belief system. But I would never go around telling people I'm an atheist, but I do like to think of myself as agnostic.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm there too. No, I was just really curious because, like I was telling you about my friend Gail, the last episode of my podcast. That episode ends on this, like, sort of this, it's not sad because she's coming to terms with it, but it's like this, she's really has this struggle with it because especially because of that verse, the famous verse. I can't remember what the thing is, but what you shall not lie with another man, or whatever it is, those Bible verses that
Sure.
we went specifically to the verse because she takes the Bible very seriously. And what ended up coming of that is that she does struggle with this dichotomy, with this juxtaposition of faith and what she is, and it affects her life with relationships. And
Yep.
and she calls herself asexual because she's just, that's where she's comfortable at. And I don't think all religion, but that definitely plays a part, and especially because she's very still active in her church. She's very religious. She doesn't cuss, and when she does cuss, it's a very big deal. And so it's just like, I'm very interested in that because
I like that. I think I'd love to come up with a series together, even if you're interested, to do stuff like to talk about that, because I don't think my big thing when it comes to the Bible is if we take it too literally, that's where we're at in the religious wars. That's where we're at right now, because people have taken a translation of a Bible so literally when they don't actually know what the original context was.
right.
And there's been so many different transcriptions of it that
Interpretation.
Bible is an acronym to me. Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
I've never heard that.
But you know what? It is basic because there is some, like, and not basic in that sense, like in today's terms, but like there is this fundamental truth that lies in the Bible that I think, which I don't know if you're familiar with that, and I thought it was very interesting that you shared a name with Jordan Peterson, who is hated in a lot of circles, especially on the left. But he does have this whole series of Bible where he breaks down Bible verses in a very philosophical and a very from the perspective of a clinical psychiatrist and someone. So to me, the way he breaks it down and the way he makes it understandable and palatable for people is it's just riveting, and it gave me a whole new respect because I'm somebody who comes from a very not strict, but very Catholic background. And, I feared God very much. And then I took LSD at a very young age. And then that just went away, that monkey in the back. But I still have those issues. And so I'm not much of a God, I'm not like, yay, I'm going to go to church. None of that means anything to me. I respect it. I respect people who have their faith. I don't want to make anybody mad. All good, do your thing. But I'm somebody who had a hard time with religion and my lifestyle choices, and just until I had to let it go because of that. So it always sort of it's very fascinating to me, especially coming from somebody who was very, very religious at one point in their life and then
Yeah.
sort of took another turn.
It took me. Oh, sorry.
No. I want to hear what you say.
It took me until I was in about middle school, early middle school. I was in a Christian school. Like I begged my family to go to this Christian school while I was in elementary. Like I was going to be this good Christian boy that was going to have a Christian education as well. I don't know why I can't, for the life of me, I cannot tell you, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I did because I remember asking the questions. That's when I started asking the questions while I was at school. I would ask the teachers. I would ask my stepdad. I would ask my mom. My biggest question all the time is, how do we know that our particular denomination of born again Christianity is the right religion and everyone else's is fake? Like how, like what supports that? Like I was asking those questions at 11 and 12 years old.
And what they tell you?
They wouldn't tell me. They don't know how to answer that question.
Or they would say you're supposed to ask that question.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to, especially in what I believe. You're not.
Which is what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a very big connection with that and like today's cancel culture. It's like you are not allowed to question that.
Yes. And
that's so weird. Like I was raised completely different environments than like you guys. I was not raised in religion, was not forced upon us as kids. So I sought it out on my own.
Yep.
And I loved going to church. I loved my fellowship. I loved the youth group, all that stuff, until they were doing a missions trip to California for Pride. To protest.
It's like it's all sounding good. We're all like, yeah, and it's like,
and it's just like then there's that big wrench, and I was like, wait.
And that's what turns me off. The biggest thing about that is like when you look at the history of what religion does and what religion will do to certain people, from Mormons not liking black people to finding reasons to incorporate it to those assholes who used to protest gay dead soldiers because they were gay, those asshole Baptist church.
Oh, you're talking about they're
probably not even worth mentioning, but still, it's like these.
Their website though is, I shouldn't even advertise their website, but their website for a church. This is their church website is godhatesfags.com.
Yep. That hurts my soul.
Westboro Baptist Church.
Westboro, yeah, it's awful, but I don't respect what they do. I think it's awful, and I don't think that they should even exist. But I think their right to exist should be protected, and their right to have.
Yeah, I get it.
I know that's why people are like, "What do you mean you can't have that opinion because you believe this, but you're gonna say that
terrible." I don't like that. That's something I have to say, but I also know that
I get it.
Yeah.
It's hypocrisy otherwise, because I want my right to exist with my freedoms and my beliefs to be intact and respected. So why shouldn't another person's? However, the only reason I don't agree with Westboro Baptist Church is the fact that they go out and actually put themselves in the position to hate other people in public, and at really respectful times for people, they disrupt like funerals for soldiers, and funerals for gay men, like Matthew Shepard,
big awful. It's awful, and like, but
so it's like cancel culture. There, I feel is where cancel culture should go. Is like we should cancel the fact that protesting, but shouting out words of hate to people is not protesting.
But it's also not against the law.
It's not against the law, but it's like it still has to be some sort of parameter of where we find freedom of speech in a general sense. Like I'm all about the fact that we should be able to say what we want when we want without like any type of criminal charges. However, that does not mean that we should not be accountable to the consequences of our actions when we do. Just like the BLM protests and riots, I it's really, they get so hard for me to be able to just stand on one side and look at it from one angle. I can't. I'm not built that way to be able to only see it as this way. And I get people that literally get up in my face and they're mad at me because I'm not seeing it from their perception, which apparently their perception is the only perception that should be seen, because otherwise you're an idiot. Otherwise you're a racist. If you're not with us, you're against us. I'm tired of living in a society like that, but I've kind of come to embrace the fact that that's where we are.
Yeah, I see your point, and dude, I think it's the most awful thing that these people could do is to go to a dead soldiers whose families who gave their life for their country, gay or not, they gave their life for this country, and they're gonna still come down there. I just think it's abhorrent, and I think it's awful. But if they're not down there setting shit on fire, trying to hurt people, trying to yell like, let's storm the Capitol, let's start violence, it's painful to say. It's like, I support their right to do it, even though it's the grossest fucking thing. And I respect what you're saying, man. I respect what you're saying, and I don't know what your plight is. I don't know what you've had to deal with in your life. I know what I've had to deal with in my life, especially coming from my mom was Mexican, my dad was white. So like, they had their own issues that they had to deal with, so like, I don't know what you had to deal with, but I mean, I know that if we have to start saying that these people can't do that over here, it's going to start turning on itself. It's because the winds of the pendulum swings both sides, and it was Bush, then it was Obama, and then people were so mad at Obama that we got Trump, and so things switch, and it's like we put these ideas into play, not thinking about the other people who are gonna inevitably come and the tides are gonna switch, and then it's who is making these decisions. It's like, and it's kind of like it comes to this idea. It's like one country's freedom fighters, another country's terrorists. It's like, it's all about perspective, and it's all about who are making these rules, who is saying who can do what and to who, and where does it end and where does it stop, and who's regulating the regulators. So I think that there's this really ugly thing that comes out of saying like, the Westboro Baptist Church cannot do this now, and that's illegal, because that makes a great case for a lawyer out in, Idaho to be like, well, now you can't do this because they did that over here, and here's the case, and they're going to present to the judge, and they're going to be like, oh, well, I guess they did. That's how laws and stuff sort of spread around, is that they use these other cases as reference, and that's what happens, and that's it's a slippery slope, and
it's messy. Very messy.
And I hate to say it, like to say that I support, like I don't support it, but I do support their rights to do that. It feels gross, but there's ugly aspects to life, and that's what life is. I mean, there's beauty, and there's ugly, and everything in between. And this is an ugly aspect of life that we need to shine a light on, and to sort of shut down these ideas is to sort of push these people into extremism. And when you try to silence people, it pushes them into these little groups that turn into little terrorist cells who are out in the woods of Michigan planning to go fucking kidnap the governor and fucking murder her. You know what I'm saying? So like, this is what happens when you silence people. They don't go away. They don't go anywhere. These fucking assholes, they just get in their little cabins in the fucking woods and their moonshine or whatever it is. Look, see, now I'm generalizing, but whatever it is, it's like they don't go away. They don't go away, and they build their own little echo chambers, and they have their little guns and whatever.
They fortify themselves with each other when they're silenced, because, well, if we can't get it out, then we're going to say it to each other.
Find solace in each other, yeah.
Well, yeah, I can honestly say you've given a lot of different perspective, which is really funny, because I've thought of it this way, but I've never really put a lot of things into a lot of arenas of the fact that, like, when we try to say that this person can't do that because you're offending people, you're essentially, you realize that they're coming for you next. Then like it's only going to keep getting worse. So and that's way beyond anything that has to do with a Trump supporter. That's way beyond anything that has to do with a Republican, conservative, anything. This is literally like we are at a point in our society that when we disagree with each other, now we can just be like, you know what? I'm going to come after you on social media and I'm going to make you look like a piece of crap. I'm going to
it's like we're on a universal precipice. Like we're just, let's say, Aaron, you offend me, like you were saying, you know, so then I come after you and I get my friends who feel the same way as I do to gang up on you, and it just spreads like cancer.
It's happened more than once.
I have never. No, I don't. I'm just pretending like it's about me when it's really not. No, and it's like you know, we're at this precipice. Like if we don't figure out how to coexist, even with things that we don't agree with, then it's gonna end badly.
The killing fields of Cambodia, here we come. No, I know that there's a lot of chatter. Like people always like to say it's communist. Mao's China is coming next, and not that they're wrong, but you know that's just not the precedent right this second. It's more like this is where it could go. That's not where we're at. But signs.
We have an opportunity to take a examination of this,
right? And we can do it, and it really is just what this country is sort of put into us is this idea of tolerance and this real understand and like trying to understand why somebody hates you and they don't even know you. It's like, why do they hate Aaron? Like they don't even know Aaron. It's like, why it's so if you can have that chance to have these talks, and there's this guy I love, his name is Daryl, he's this black musician who flips KKK and Nazi members. And like he's flipped these people just by having conversations with them. Daryl Davis. He's an amazing musician, by the way. But he's sort of made this life mission, and he's a musician. Oh, go figure. He's a musician who used to play in these bands where it would be black and white. And when you're talking about musicians, coming from a musician's point of view, when you're talking about race matters in a band, the only thing that matters is if you can fucking play. If you can't play, get the fuck out. We don't care what you are. Like it's just like we just need someone who can fill the position. You know what I'm saying? and it's musicians and artists have always sort of led the way in this sort of manner because we know that there's something higher that's bigger than us, than our skin, and we tap into it all the time. That's our source, that's our inspiration. And so everything else just seems ridiculous to put these sort of dumb labels on it when you're tapping into such a divine place. But yeah, Daryl Davis, he goes and he flips these KKK wizards and it's so stupid.
Yeah,
so Game of Thronesy. It's so like nerdy. We're freaking Grand Wizard, and they have Cyclops. They have these stupid.
All I hear when they do that is like, are they like racist Harry Potter characters?
Exactly. It's like, they're just like children who just like, they took my job. It's just like, God, he's so stupid. But this person, this black man, goes out of his way to talk to these people who hate him. They don't even know him. And they end up just giving him their robes, like to the point where they like give their robes to him, and they're like, "Here, you really did this." And what we can all take a lesson from is that we can have these conversations. You can change minds, but you can't do it by telling people you're wrong. You gotta be like, "Well, what's going on? Why do you feel this way?" We don't take any time to take measure of ourselves. We don't take that 1 second before we push send. We don't take that moment, which is something I have very struggle with all the time. And I'm getting better at it. But you're just typing away.
Well, I got it all.
My opinion is right, and I have to get my point out. And how dare they
doing is pushing people more.
Yep, you're ready. You're like, I've got this, and I'm going to shut this whole conversation down with the truth, and they cannot argue with me on this. Well, that is not true. That is
Right.
not
Argue
true.
for everything.
They will find a reason to come back at you. And are you really ready to commit to this time to keep?
Do you really have enough information and enough facts
Yes.
to actually back up your initial argument or retaliation? Because if you don't, somebody's going to eat you alive.
Is it worth it right now to you?
Is it worth your peace of mind to be a dick?
So I found myself, and I've been very proud of myself sometimes when I'm just like, delete the whole thing. I spent probably a good 10 minutes typing out this whole good response, like, I'm going to destroy you with my perspective, and you can't argue with it because it's right and yours is wrong. And then I'm like, if I hit send on this, I'm worse than the person.
You're starting a war. You're starting
And so I thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a great place for us to wrap up this whole conversation.
Yes.
My phone is at 4%, so I'm super excited that we're doing
I had such a great time. Thank you, guys.
Me too. I would love for us to get together again.
You guys
amazing.
should come on my show. You guys should come on my Twitch stream and see how it goes.
Oh, for sure.
Definitely.
I would love that. I'd love to have you guys on. It's so fun to because again, there's like other people involved, so it's like we could be just shit talking, and then all of a sudden it's like somebody says something and it's hilarious, or it changes the whole mood. It's really interesting. It's a really cool thing, and I think that you guys should do like a live stream, even if it is YouTube. If you do this Google Meets, I think they make it kind of easy for you to stream it directly to YouTube.
It was my plan, but I totally bagged on her yesterday. We were supposed to spend yesterday just practicing our Google whole workspace thing with this, because we have so much more we can do than just Google Meets that can really help our podcast and more.
But we like to fly. Just like, let's just dive in.
Yeah,
that's what you have to do.
We're just gonna see what happens.
I think that's absolutely the right attitude, and like, who cares if no one comes? Who cares if nothing's happening? Like, it's like you have to just do it. It's like that's the biggest thing. It's like you just got to do it, and even if you have one person in there hanging on, it's amazing when they start talking to you, because you're like, wow, I'm having a conversation with somebody about something cool and real.
Yeah.
Just like with Janet, when Janet jumps on.
When we have our Facebook streams, we have at least 3 good regulars who show up every week.
And it's fun, right? It's fun to interact and stuff. Like, and you're already doing it on Facebook, so it's not like you have to change anything. I'm just saying, like,
I wouldn't mind moving it.
Really, I love streaming. Like, it's
I'm really thinking that we might jump over to that. Even Discord, I think we might try just some new avenues for us to get our message out there in our conversation and just our personalities, because you know that we're pretty awesome.
You guys are pretty awesome.
All of my personalities are pretty awesome.
All 18 of them.
That's right. Told you, I'm a Pisces to the max.
Wait, you only have 8.
At 3, we're down to 3%. I don't have a charger anywhere.
All right. Well, anyway, thank you again for having this conversation. It was really good. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us.
Thanks. This is awesome.
We definitely, I'd love to come on your podcast. I'd love to come on your streams. We'd love to bring you back on here. I think you'd be great. I really want to get him in a conversation with our Mike. Oh my God, that would be so fun.
Tyler.
Mike. There you go.
Oh, Tyler. No, not right now. No, Tyler's on a break from the podcast right now.
Oh, okay. He's grounded.
Tyler is our resident Trump supporter on our show. But
he's not. I love that. He's super respectful. Like, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy. And we try to really show him from the fact that he's a Trump supporter, not just a Republican who voted for Trump, because he believes in Trump. And I bring him on to be able to share that perspective, but he's one of those people that are like, yeah, Trump's an asshole. Yeah, Trump's an idiot. Yeah, Trump says a lot of bullshit. Yep. But he still had his beliefs on why. And it's hard to really clock somebody when they're committed and at least they stand by what they believe.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're giving you like legit, like research, like thought out opinions, and not just like, this is what Fox told me to say today, so go fuck yourself, commie liberal. You know, it's like it's good.
You have to go to Mike and go into my episodes. It's not on a YouTube one. It's on my actual, just my go to the website or whatever. But it's the Crossing the Divide with Tyler Lundeen episode.
That was a great episode.
We had so much feedback from that one.
Mhm.
Surprisingly, when I say I don't get much feedback, that one, Crossing a Divide about political discussion, people were coming on and saying these are the kind of conversations that need to be being had. So I was like, oh my God, I did something good. But yeah,
it was nice meeting you.
you guys have
That wasn't a goodbye. That was my percentage on my phone.
Oh, yeah, that's what you were giving me the piece
It is true. I'm gonna turn off the recording, and yeah. So we've said our goodbyes, but you guys can stay on for just a moment after the recording. But yeah, but other than that, thanks again.
Yeah, no worries.
Always a pleasure. You know that. Got my sidekick cape on.